Hello again. Welcome to your week 2 Yin Practice in your spiritual mentorship. This practice is focused around your sacral energy. So your ability to soften, to tune into your feelings and the sensations that come forward with your physical body, as well as starting to open up and to release old tension that's been sitting maybe for a while. So because this practice is centered around sacral chakra, it will be related a lot to your hips, your pelvis, and your sacrum on some level. And that's intentionally meant to start to bring in a little bit of water, a little softness, a little bit of space. And sacral chakra, for women particularly, is linked in with your ability to tune into feminine energy. Feminine being your ability just to be still, to tap into softness, and to allow yourself just to really let go, not to feel like you have to be in the practice of anything or creating or doing anything in action, but just to allow things to kind of unfold as they need to. So the first pose in this practice will be in yin, what's called sleeping swan, but what you would know likely is half pigeon. So to set this particular variation up, I like to have a bolster, again because this is yin, to have some support underneath your body when you come down is perfect. So I like to start from tabletop for this particular variation. If you have to go into downward dog, that's completely fine. So I'll bring my right leg forward and take my left leg back, with the understanding that your practice, if you do yoga in a hot space, may look a little bit different than it does when you're doing it in a non-heated space. And it's intentional, again, because yin is meant to open up those muscles. But you may find that you have to adjust a little bit. So first thing, of course, my left leg is straight behind me. My foot, as you can see, is untucked. My right leg is as far forward as I can take it. If you have your right leg parallel to the front of your mat, you do want to flex your foot. If you don't, and it's in, just point your toes, okay? So that's the biggest difference. And then again, lift and lengthen your chest, and then make your way down. And you can, if you choose, just turn your head to face whatever direction you want, or you can have your forehead down on your hands, depending on where you're at. And you're gonna hold this for at least 4 minutes. Ideally 5 to 6. And then you'll switch sides. Now, when you're in what's called the rebound, the pose with yin, it's the moment where you come out of a pose that you've been holding for a few minutes that you get a lot of this sort of sensation that comes up, the releasing of your muscle coming out. So give yourself a moment when you come out of sleeping swan. You can take on child's pose, traditional, which is knees together. So when you come up back into table, bring your knees together and just drop your body all the way down. Bring your forehead down and take your arms back behind you. And you can stay there just for a minute, or at least 10 breaths, to let the sensation of whatever came forward from you in pigeon kind of land in your body. And then you'll set up the other side. Second pose, when you're complete both sides of half pigeon, is called shoelace. And this one, basically, is you come to a seat, and it's very similar to, well, half pigeon, except, or double pigeon. You're taking, and you're doing the best that you can here, just taking your right knee underneath and wrapping your left knee over top. So you can see here that my legs, well, probably not perfectly in line. The intention is if you can get your knees in line with each other, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. Feet are soft. Then you're just gonna lift and lengthen your chest and then drop as far forward as you can. And you can bring your hands to the floor. If you find that you tend to press the floor away from you, just flip your palms up so that your hands can soften down. And then you hold that for at least 4 minutes. You may notice a lot of sensation come up in your hip. That's normal. And if you do feel a lot of things here, just to make sure you breathe as much as you can, okay? That's really, really important. And then you'll set up the other side. So you come out. What I love to do in between is easy pose. Just come to seated. Let my legs neutralize. Close my eyes and just take it all in. And then you set up the other side. So your left leg would go over and you would sit with that, lift and lengthen and come down. And the final pose of this practice is a little bit more soft. So I highly recommend you use a bolster or a pillow, a thick one, that will hold your weight so that you can release down. So we have bolsters here, of course, but if you don't have one, not a big deal. Like I said, a pillow is great. So this is reclined butterfly. So again, very similar to the first week, you're gonna bring your feet together very gently. Like you don't have to press them in, you don't have to hold your legs up. Just let your feet touch. Your legs are in a diamond shape, and then you'll have the bolster close enough that it's kind of touching your hips gently. Or you could put a little bit of space if you need to. Some people like to have a little bit of a gap. It's really up to you, it's all comfort level. I personally like to have it right up against me. And then you just roll back. Let your arms be by your sides. And then let your body just drop right down into your palm. And you let go, relax, soften in, just close your eyes down. And I would say for that particular pose, that's something that you could hold longer if you're open to that, if you have the time. 8 to 10 minutes is great. And it's also a really great place if you need to do your meditation. If you haven't had a chance to get to it, this is a really beautiful spot for you to tap into that. Or you can throw something on in the background, like music or whatever you need, just to keep you centered. And then when you're complete, feel free to rest if you need to, or whatever you need to do. Sacral is very much about tuning back into the energy of receiving. And when you're in a place of stillness, you have a beautiful opportunity to tap into that. That is all I have for this week. Enjoy and take care of yourself.